So, a client of mine got a cold call from someone trying to sell magazine subscriptions. Today, on this video, I want to unpack a little bit of sales training that might have gone a long way. Just a little sales training could have gone a long way with this person. So, we are going to talk about that is the topic for today. Really quick, for those of you who are interested, I'll mention it at the end as well. But join us if you'd like to join the Facebook group that we have where we do this sorts of training all the time. You can just go to the Time Wealthy Advantage Facebook group. There's a link in the description. But if you're a jerk, don't come. No jerks. We don't want any jerks. All right. So the interesting thing about this call was that this woman, and I'm not going to put any names out there. I'm not trying to publicly shame anybody, but this person clearly needs some help because they had been trying to cold call, trying to get in contact with my client, and he'd been sending her to voicemail over and over and over. Well, finally he decided, you know what, I'll just take the call and see what this offer is about. So before he really even gets a word in edgewise, she goes straight into the offer. So this is what I do. I sell these ads for this magazine, which targets this type of high-end avatar. It probably didn't use the word avatar, but high-end clientele. And this would be a great place for you to advertise, and just basically just word vomited all over him. And before he really even got a word in edgewise, she's already just kind of throwing up all sorts of this offer and why this would benefit him, and really not even having a conversation. So him recognizing, and him being, getting a lot of training from me, he had recognized pretty quickly like how bad this was. And I will fully admit, I used to do the same thing. I'm like, this is not an indictment of this person, because reality is she's probably been doing what she has experienced. She's probably doing what she's seen other people do and thinks that that is what success is. I mean, I did the same thing in my real estate coaching world, where I would get on and be this crazy kinetic, arms all over the place, waving around and talking real fast. That's not really me. I mean, I talk fast when I get excited about stuff, but really when I'm coaching and training and in front of others and leading others, I'm much more intentional with my words. So anyway, she was probably doing with either, I'm hoping she's not being coached this way, but who knows, maybe that person learned the same way. So obviously this was not going anywhere with him. And finally he challenged her and said, look, you don't even know anything about me. You didn't stop and ask what business that I'm in. You don't know anything about, I don't even know if I should trust you. So recognizing that she went too far too fast, she starts to walk it back. Well, tell me about your business. So he obviously now trust is at a as at a very low point here. So he's kind of metered and measured in terms of what he wants to share with her, because now he doesn't want to be sold. Now he's feeling like, I'm not going to do the sale for you. You've already kind of blown this out of the water. So he shares a couple of data points, but nothing too crazy. So then she says, well, this could help you, and this could help you get exposure and all these different things. And he said, well, I don't want to be in a magazine where my competitors can be. And that is a very valid reason not to be in there, right? So that's really the first objection. I mean, the first objection was really like, I don't trust you. But the first objection that she got, hey there, if you're joining on live, it's good to see you. The first objection that she really got from him was, I don't trust you. Okay, that's the first one. The second one now is, okay, so now that you've proven you don't trust me, it's like, well, now this is a very legit thing for her to overcome is, oh yeah, well, my competitors are there. And her response was not one that brought him into the conversation. Her response was one that attacked his belief system. And the minute she attacked his belief system, the sale is over. And she said to him, well, a little competition should not be bad. I'm not afraid of competition. Or why are you afraid of competition? She directly attacked his belief system rather than sidestepping it and saying, yeah, I see your point. Right. So I'm going to get into the coaching of this a little bit here, but this is the thing where I see a lot of salespeople is they're trying to change someone else's belief system when they really need to be coming alongside that individual and saying, oh yeah, I see your point. But let me ask you something. Now, this is how the conversation. So in this coaching session with my client, I said, well, what do you think I would have said in this situation? He's like, well, you wouldn't be selling this kind of thing. I said, not necessarily. I said, I probably could sell this pretty well, but I wouldn't sell it the way that she did. First and foremost, the conversation I would have had I would have led with value. Okay. That would have led with value. So, and that is what, if you've never read The Go-Giver by Bob Berg, that's one of the things that he talks about in terms of the 5 laws of success, right? Let's see if I've got the book handy. Yeah, I can do actually on my wall of shame. Actually, that's not my wall of shame. That's the wall that I actually have read all the books. The stack of shame is the books I haven't read yet. This is The Go-Giver, right? And in the back of The Go-Giver, he talks about the 5 laws of success, which are the law of value, the law of compensation, the law of influence, the law of authenticity, and the law of receptivity, right? Being able to receive things. So the law of value is always leading with value. And she did not lead with any value. She basically said, here's my offer. This is almost so good you should take it. Why don't you? She basically said, come buy my crap. And that was her offer. That was the value that she led with, which was a giant turd. However, if she had said, hey, you know what? Hi, John, we'll say his name is. Hey, John, I've seen a couple of your signs around town. I checked out your website and I just wanted to know, do you try to target a higher end avatar, or are you really more towards like middle of the road or lower end avatar? You know what? And I'll explain to you the reason why I'm asking here in just a second. Well, if I've done my research, I would have known that he targets a higher end avatar. So when he says, "Well, I don't mind doing stuff for middle of the road, but I really do target a higher end avatar." Okay, that's what I was thinking, and the reason why I'm asking is because I represent a magazine that targets a higher end avatar. So I don't know if this is a market that you're trying to get into. This specific neighborhood is where we send these magazines to. And this magazine has very high readership rates. And the reason we know that is boom, 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 data, right? Whatever. But the point is that I'm leading with value. I've already shown interest in your company. I've already shown that I've been through your website. I've seen your signs. I know what this looks like. So now I'm leading with value. And now I can start coming in with some data. I can start coming in with our readership is, our whatever data points there is, right? It's bringing value to the equation. Right now, this is why infotainment is so relevant these days, because people really want to be educated and entertained. So if you can teach them a couple things while you're entertaining them and you're telling jokes and you're making compelling videos or whatever it is you're doing, it doesn't need to be videos, it can be books, it can be anything. Like, again, I just got done writing The Time Wealthy Advantage, and there's a lot of people who really enjoyed reading it. And they're like, wow, it was really, really good. I'm like, oh, what'd you learn from it? Well, I learned a lot of stuff because I wove in stories. There's ways that I tell stories that helps teach people, blah, 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 right? So this is important to be able to lead with value. And if you're not leading with value, if you're not leading with something that the caller is going to need, they're going to bounce. They're going to leave, right? There's several people who've come on this video and left that clearly they didn't see value, and that's okay, right? But there are people who will. And maybe there's going to be people who watch this video and go, yeah, this was a giant waste of my time, giant turd. Okay, well, I'm sorry, but I'm doing my best to provide value for you, the listener or the viewer. So the point is that in the sales process, leading with value is always a winning proposition. It goes back to, if you've ever read, what's that book? My Life in Advertising by Claude Hopkins. That book was written back in the early 1900s. And he talks about leading with samples, right? And Alex Hormozy, today's, everybody knows Alex Hormozy. He's a brilliant internet marketer and, business owner, he basically runs a conglomerate. And he famously said that the market judges you by what you give away for free. Same thing Claude Hopkins said over 100 years ago, is that the market judges you by your samples. So again, that is leading with value. So again, if she's leading with value and says, hey, look, This is something that I have noticed with contractors in your space or businesses in your space or whatever it is in your space. This is why this would be really important. Now let's go back to the the thing that he had said. The first the first objection was basically like, I don't know you, I don't trust you. The second objection was, I don't want to be in the same magazine as my competitors. Now this is where a good salesperson would know to pivot and to step alongside them and say, you know what, you're absolutely right, and I don't want you to compete. I don't want you to be exactly like the people who will do things similar to what you do. But let me ask you, John, do you have, tell me a little bit more about your business, and let's figure out a way to differentiate yourself in your marketing. Because the reality is, if you can't differentiate yourself from the other people who are going to run ads in my magazine, no offense, I don't want you. Because the reality is, I don't want you because you're not going to get the results that you want, and then you're going to think I'm a bad person, and you're going to leave. You're going to tell everybody else I'm a bad person, right? That I can't deliver. Now, notice what I did there. Notice what I did there. It's a slight takeaway, right? Tell me a little bit about more yourself, because if you can't differentiate yourself good enough in the marketplace, like you're probably, let's think of the value, that value triangle, right? That marketing triangle where you're delivering on price, quality, or speed, or basically service. Are you the quickest? Are you able to do this in the shortest timeline? Are you able to have the highest quality, or are you the cheapest price? Somewhere in there, right? Are you the expert at putting on roofs? Are you the expert at putting on electric generators? Whatever it is. Are you the expert at putting in tile backsplashes? Whatever the thing is, right? Where are you differentiating for yourself from, so that the other people or your competitors are not, they're not competing in, they're not going into that space because you own that space. So that's where I'm saying, like, how can you differentiate yourself? Now, once I have asked that question as a salesperson, so let me just reiterate here. Hey, tell me how you are different. Tell me how you're different in this space. Now, what have I done? Now I'm inviting them to talk about themselves. I'm inviting them to have this conversation, to tell me about themselves. And no offense, if you can't differentiate yourself well enough, no offense, I don't want to put you in the magazine because you're not going to get the results that you want. So this is why these conversations are important from a salesperson's perspective. So when you invite that person to talk, do you think that John would have been much more likely to talk about his business? Absolutely. Absolutely, he would have been, because, and he admitted that. He says, absolutely, I would have loved to talk more about my business because I like to talk about my business. So asking him to differentiate himself, I've led with value. Asking him how he differentiates himself tells me, now I've got a slight takeaway to say, hey, look, if you can't convince me that you're differentiated enough, I don't know that I'm going to allow you in my magazine, right? That's a slight takeaway to say, hey, look, you need to convince me that I am going to let you buy ad space. So that is a very different conversation. Now, this is not manipulative. This is just basically saying, hey, look, I do legitimately want to make sure that I can provide value for you in this magazine, because the way that I would do it, right now, most advertising that I see in magazines is horrible. And the reality is, it was a really good, I don't think I've got the book handy, but it was a No BS direct marketing book by Dan Kennedy. And I'm not getting that name right. Oh, here it is. It's in my stack of reshelving stuff. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this video on the fly. This is a really, really good book if you've not read it. So No BS Direct Marketing. Really, really enjoyed this book, because one of the things that he talked about in there is that most advertising is absolute crap. And if you just go to a bookstore or magazine rack or wherever and just start flipping through the magazine ads and just see what's on there. And there's so little direct response. Direct response is basically where they're making a direct offer, and this offer is for this. Like, it's very, very trackable. It's not just you open it up and you see a picture of a necklace with a name at the bottom, some French sounding name at the bottom. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with that, right? But this is where you have like mail order type advertising that says, oh, wow, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to cut this out, scan this QR code, mail this in, send a check, pay here, blah, 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 whatever that is. That is direct response. And that's the type of advertising that you would want to do. Personally, that's the type I do, because I can track that. I can track a QR code that goes specifically to a website that I know that that website only came from that ad. And if I'm not getting very much traffic or if I'm not getting very much conversion, I know either the ad sucks or the offer sucks. And as long as the viewership is there. So that's why I'm saying, like, this is why it would be really, really important to know readership. Like, are these people actually, okay, fine, they're getting the magazine, but are they actually reading it? And they have ways of telling that. But I'm just saying, like, this is why it would be really important for you to know that these type of conversations before you're talking to these salespeople, because most of these salespeople are absolutely horrible at this. So for you as a salesperson who is maybe out there promoting your own business, this is really good for you to know in advance. It's not about handling objections. It's about being human. It's about saying, hey, tell me what your concerns are about being in a magazine with your competitors. And I'll tell you, and so tell me about that, because reality is, if you can't differentiate yourself, if you're not differentiated, that's a very legit concern. And maybe you're not ready to advertise in my magazine. Does that make sense? So I think this person could really have gotten a lot of value from just a little bit of sales training, and maybe start leading with value, and then start really just having a conversation with that individual. Say, tell me what your concerns about X, Y, or Z are. And then stand alongside them. Don't challenge their beliefs to say because I think, if I did not make this point, what she had said was, well, a little competition is good. It makes you better. Well, yeah, but now you're challenging their beliefs. Stand alongside and say, well, let me ask you, what is your concern about competition? What is your concern there? Because I don't want you to directly compete. I want you to differentiate. And that is how you can do that in the sales process. So one quick thing, if you would like to join us in our Facebook group, it's a small group right now. I don't know when you're going to watch this, but right now there's about 500 people in there. But if you would like to be a part of that, the link is in there. If you're not a Facebook person, that's totally fine. But again, no jerks allowed. Don't be a jerk. Don't come in there and raise all sorts of problems, because that's just not fun. But we had some good folks in there posting some good stuff. But also too, I mentioned my book. I don't have the. Do I have that here? Nope, I guess I don't have it. I was going to post a picture of the Time Wealthy Advantage. It's this book right here. I'll go ahead and post a link to this book as well if you'd like to get a copy of it. It is if you go to Amazon, it's like $35, and I don't even know that you bought it. But if you buy it through this link, it's actually $25. I think it's a little bit less, $25. It covers the shipping, and I'll sign it for you. And I will also throw in a free one-to-one coaching session with me directly. So if you are interested in that, by all means, go ahead and click on that link, and I will get that book in your hot little hands. So have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys next time.